Boris Johnson is set to dismantle Nicola Sturgeon's Scottish independence bid with 4 key arguments during his trip to Scotland. The Prime Minister is travelling north of the border today as the First Minister pushes for a second referendum, despite Scots rejecting independence just 7 years ago in 2014. Mr. Johnson will use the visit, which Ms. Sturgeon has insisted is not essential, to stress the importance of the UK. He will highlight 4 key points which will drive home the importance of the Union and the folly of independence. First, the Prime Minister will argue the Union has been integral in administering the coronavirus vaccine. The UK has secured early access to 367 million doses of 7 of the most promising vaccines and was the first country to deploy the Pfizer and Oxford jabs. So far, more than 7 million people have received their first dose as Britain pushes ahead with its rollout. Mr. Johnson will also highlight coronavirus testing as another benefit for Scotland of being in the Union. The UK government has delivered more than 1 million rapid lateral flow test kits to Scotland so far. It is funding testing sites across the country, including 7 drive-through centres, 27 walk-through sites and 21 mobile testing units, along with the Lighthouse Lab in Glasgow. And money from Westminster has provided 62% of testing kits in Scotland. The Prime Minister will also argue economic support given north of the border during the pandemic is another benefit of remaining in the Union. The UK government has handed Scotland £8.6 billion to support public services and protected hundreds of thousands of jobs. And Mr. Johnson is also expected to point out how NHS England came to the rescue of the Scottish Ambulance Service last weekend. NHS England handled a third of 999 calls at one point after the Scottish Ambulance Service feared they could be stretched to capacity. Speaking ahead of his visit to Scotland, the Prime Minister said, "The great benefits of cooperation across the whole of the UK have never been clearer than since the beginning of this pandemic. We have pulled together to defeat the virus, providing £8.6 billion to the Scottish Government to support public services whilst also protecting the jobs of more than 930,000 citizens in Scotland. We have a vaccine programme developed in labs in Oxford being administered across the United Kingdom by our armed forces, who are helping to establish 80 new vaccine centres across Scotland. That's how we are delivering for the people of Scotland so we can ensure the strongest possible recovery from the virus."